Hey, so good evening. I'm here by myself. My cousin Faye's not available. She's busy this week with family things. So, just me, I have a special guest that I'm going to bring on here tonight, Cave Girl. And she has some really interesting theories, I think, and I would say a perspective of the world that is quite enchanting. So, I'm going to bring her on. Cave Girl,
Hi.
hello, how are
Am
you?
I am I coming in clearly?
We can hear you fine.
Oh, yes. Well, looks very festive there.
Yes, I'm downstairs tonight. So you're going to hear chaos in the background because my family is home and I'm on the first floor right now. But I just thought a little Christmas cheer with my pagan tree and my
A
Santa Clauses up
little
there.
winter solstice cheer. It's fine.
It's fine, especially with this windstorm, which is crazy. It's kind of, if we might lose power, but we're going to do the best we can, right?
Super. Yes, I
Yeah.
did my I have a greenhouse and it did blow away. It was very, very sad.
You know what's hilarious? This morning, so I woke up at like 4:30 and it was crazy. It was pouring rain. It must have been hurricane force gales at least, right? Of wind. And I was thinking of all the little snowmen, little plastic snowmen and Santa Clauses that
Yeah,
are blowing away off of
yes.
people's front. Why did you lose a Santa Claus?
That's terrible.
It's
Wow.
kind of hilarious. It reminds me of at the beginning of Home Alone when they're asleep and that storm comes through and the decorations are all blowing away.
Yes. Yes.
so, yeah, do you want to introduce yourself? Do you have a little bit of an introduction?
Um, really don't have much to say.
Hmm.
Um, I make a lot of videos. I put them up and then I take them down again because sometimes I feel like it just needs to stay up there in my brain.
Yeah, sure, sure.
And
I know that
sometimes
feeling.
sometimes I think maybe I should share this. It might lead a conversation in a different direction.
Hmm.
So some of the videos I guess that you were going to show um just sort of my world, my perspective, and that's all.
All right. Well, we're going to be really low key, high vibration
Exactly.
tonight. And I do have three of your videos lined up to start playing. There are parts that need to be read on these, which we'll deal with that as it comes. I don't know if people prefer like a, what is it? Like
Narration,
yeah, I forget what they call it, but
or
anyway.
you could fast forward. Oh well, I guess. Oh yeah, I guess there is narration in some parts. I mean,
Yeah, there's some parts that are like typed out, and so I mean, we'll just take it as it comes, and yeah, let's start, shall we?
great.
All right. I hope everybody can see this. I've been working all. Actually, I've been working. My husband has been trying to get this to work all day, so God willing, okay. Cave Girl, let me know if you can or cannot hear it. All right.
Okay, sure.
All right. I collect rocks. And I
It's a
love
little too quiet.
looking at rocks and trying to figure out what they are. Is that better? Um, a lot of these rocks,
Yeah.
this is from Hawaii. A lot of rocks are given to me. This is just small. I just wanted to have a little bit of a variety of the kind of things I collect, shells and rocks and things like that. And why I do that is to try to get an idea of when I find a rock, what exactly am I looking at? For example, if you look at this,
shell, you start to see patterns. You look at wood, you see patterns, things like this. So the question has been, can human flesh, or can flesh turn to stone? And I just wanted to show you.
Can I go back to that real quick?
Sure.
This is so amazing. I mean, you have that giant fish looking thing. I don't know if you can hear my son crying, but Santa's not coming for him because he's
No.
being a very fresh boy. They're so overstimulated, you know how they
Mhm.
get. But anyway, this beautiful rock here that looks like a giant fish head coming out of
Mhm.
water. How beautiful. And
Mhm.
this one down here, it looks like a reptile or almost like a dragon head, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
This is just a small example of what is out there as far as these stones that resemble, they just resemble living creatures, but there are so many. Like that fish head, I, I think it's amazing that we have dinosaur fish fossils that, would be a fish engulfing another fish, or a dinosaur in the process of engulfing another creature. And
Yes.
people are fine with that. That was obviously those incidents, that those happened instantaneously.
Mhm.
But people can't comprehend that things could be frozen instantaneously
I
by
do
some sort of force or whatever.
I do want you to before we move on real quick. Now, are you an evolutionist? Are you a creationist? Old Earth, New Earth? Any like? Do you identify with any of those?
I'm all over the map with that, actually. I'm all
Okay.
over the flat map, inner Earth, hollow Earth. I'm all over the map with that. I
Yeah,
would say, I believe that there's way too much, the exact order of things in nature. There had to be a creator. I absolutely believe that. Do I think that there was some sort of evolution? Yes, I do. I think there's continually small, you know, changing DNA or evolution. I think that's constantly going on. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that.
I think we
Um,
call that more adaptation though than
um,
evolution.
yeah, you know what? Well, if you look at, yeah, I don't know. I could go on a tangent about that. We're not going to do that right now.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, so anyway, but I will say this. I do believe that there was a flood.
Mhm,
I do believe that the flood was all over the entire earth.
mhm.
And I do think that was the biggest reset in time. When that happened, everything was different after the flood.
Mhm.
And I think there's evidence everywhere. And I don't think it was as long ago as people say.
Okay.
Um, that's all.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, these are amazing. Let's press play. I'm sorry it's so quiet, but you're so like calm in your videos. So it's as loud as it's gonna get. So let's go ahead.
And I just wanted to show you some rocks that I have that it looks like hamburger or it looks like steak. There's no question in my mind that this was not just a regular rock, that it was something organic. Um, People have thought that perhaps I've seen other videos about people talking about different stones being different parts of the body. I have studied anatomy for 30 years. Anatomy and dissection, and my job involves working on human bodies anatomy and dissection. And so
Saying it real casual like. Yeah, you know, dissection. I dissect people, but
I'm familiar with human anatomy, but I just wanted to show you some rocks that I found interesting. Now these rocks here, this one's really really big. these rocks have the same shape. If you look at this rock very closely, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it has the same shape as a larger rock. It has a heart shape, and the camera's not really picking it up, but it looks like it's covered in veins. Keep listening. Here's another one. Same shape. It actually looks like muscle tissue.
Wow.
Okay. And then we have this one that actually looks like a big chunk of meat. It has a lot of the same characteristics. For example, they all have a bump here, they all have a bump here, they all have a bump here. Okay, they're all flat on one side. They all have a little point. They all are sort of broken away at the top here. Okay, if you look close, they're all sort of broken away at the top here. Now, I'm not saying that these are, because it looks like something, it is something. Like, because it reminds me of a human heart, because it looks like it's deteriorated flesh, or petrified flesh. It is. I'm not saying that. I'm wondering if certain shapes in the earth give off certain vibrations, because the amount of heart-shaped stones that I have collected throughout the years that all have the same shape, like, for example, it's very similar, but it's much more rounded. I found this one at the beach. It's a totally different material, but I'm wondering if certain shapes give off certain vibrations, and that's why we have a lot of the same shapes occurring over and over again. Here we go again with a rock that actually looks like a piece of meat. That looks like a piece of steak. Anyway, so those are just some of those rocks. Here's some more. This rock here looks like that there. That looks like that. So, very interesting. All very interesting. So the other big question that we have, can petrified soft materials, can they be turned to stone? Well, here's a great example. This is an ammonite, or even maybe the ammonite, or more like a shrimp. But look, we have the vein that goes down the back. Now, this is not the shell. This is the actual creature. The shell has probably been polished off, and this is the creature that was inside. And we can see this is actual marble. So we can see that soft materials can be petrified into stone. Okay, I think it's pretty amazing. When I think about fossils of ammonites, I think about this, and I think of anything that was perhaps soft turned into like a sandstone, which is right there.
Are you there?
Yes, all I know, there's one thing I know for sure. That girl needs a manicure.
Oh, only us gals are looking at that. At least you put polish on. Give me a break. If you saw my fingernails right now, you would call it a disgrace. But what is an ammonite? Is it the same as a nautilus?
I mean, I think nautiluses still exist, don't they? Ammonite gets like a prehistoric creature. It looked like it had like a little snaily body, and then it had like a squid head that came out with tentacles, and they grow really, really big. In one of my videos, I'm showing that there's just some guy walking around down in I don't know if it was Florida or South Carolina, just walking around this river and finding ammonites that were as big as car tires.
Yeah.
And oh, no big deal.
I did see that one. I'm not sure if we're sharing that one tonight. I love that you called this wasting time looking at boring old rocks. This is unbelievable. And again, I believe you ended with it's also beautiful, but hold on, let's continue. I just had to ask. I think that's compelling.
probably a better example, and I think it's interesting also to see crystallizes as well. It looks almost like granite. So again, a cross section of an ammonite, which is a prehistoric animal. This looks like some sort of reptile skin.
That one reminded me of a thyroid.
Right yes. Stone. If you look closely, if I had this cut and polished, you would be able to see. Let me see if I can catch it. It looks like a flower, almost like a flower, and it's very heavy. Looks a lot like wood, and it's really heavy. But I just thought the little pattern there, if it was cut straight across, you would see it's a flower. Really, really cool. This one. It's kind of interesting. So, in this right here, I feel like this is a piece of metal that was submerged into water for a long time. Now it's turned into stone. Here's another rock. This looks like a boring old rock, but you look at it really closely, then you start to see, okay, there's some patterning there. It see some like ribbing here. I don't know. To me, I feel like it could almost be a bony plate or a giant scale on an animal, an individual scale on an animal, like a turtle or something like that. I'm not sure, but anyway, when you start to look carefully just at rocks, you see a lot of things that are pretty interesting. This right here, I'm quite certain this is petrified. This is a petrified mandible.
Oh.
And also, like, here's one right here. If you take a look at that, I mean, that looks like a piece of meat. That looks like if you cooked pork roast or something, this is what you're gonna get. And that's just a rock. I mean, looks exactly like fibrous muscle material. Pretty sure that this is some sort of a piece of vertebrae. You can even see the center where, I mean, it's been worn down. This was at the beach, but you can even see the center where the spinal cord would go through. This was kind of a cool rock as well. There's actually fibers coming out of this rock. So if it was like mud with grass sticking out of it, or was it hair? I don't know. Pretty interesting. This is another one of those rocks. I think about the crystal skulls, and I'm like, well, did they have crystal hearts? Or crystal hearts? I think if you look carefully, there are actually 4. This actually is broken up into 4 parts. This is a video from Agate Dad, and he cuts stones in half. The channel. But anyway, as soon as I looked at these 2 shapes, it just reminded me of a heart and sort of a kidney, not at this angle, but at another angle. And I just want to show you something. So this is an agate that's been cut in half. And that's an actual real kidney cross section. So there you go. Mamlambo fossils, I think is how you pronounce it. But anyway, he's able to identify the shape of fossilized crabs within stones. So again, going back to the same idea that you can identify something because of the shape of the rock. And this is one of his other specimens that was identified. Pretty amazing. We live in an amazing world, so it really is just beauty everywhere. So, look at that. Okay. That's it.
All right. Oh, Hold on, please.
Well, that was inspiring music.
Yeah, that was super, super. That was my the next video playing. I hope that I didn't lose the rest of the stuff I wanted to share. That was amazing. Now, I'm sure, is there anything you want to elaborate on from that?
Well, I just feel like the rocks and stones and hills and mountains, I think that they answer a lot of the questions. I think if we start looking at the world in a different perspective, and see the world a little bit differently, we're going to realize that we live in a pretty amazing, magical place. I was driving through, I was in Vermont, and I was looking at the hills of Vermont along the highway, and I was like, that is wood. Those mountains, those hills, they just looked like cut charcoal wood all over the place. And it like burnt wood. And of course, looking at it with new eyes, like, oh my gosh, if that is wood that's been submerged, then those trees were huge, absolutely gigantic. And if you look at like, the fact that we like, what is coal? If those are gigantic trees and they go in, they get the coal. I mean, that's what we're burning. We're burning ancient wood, just like fossil fuels. What are fossil fuels? Fossil fuels are organic materials that were underneath, they were submerged in water. They became, under some sort of immense weight. I think the flood answers all these questions. If there was a great flood and everything was demolished, that's what you would end up with. So,
okay.
Yeah.
My apologies. Right now, I can hear the wind literally coming down the fireplace. So for me, you keep breaking up. I'm not sure if it's on my end or yours, but I did catch what you were saying there. I'm just going to shut off my camera, hopefully, until I get my Wi-Fi bars come back up. So Frank says there's an ancient manuscript. Part of it was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls called the Book of the Giants, where it talked about this. So should we move on to your next?
Sure.
Yeah, you want to
Thanks,
do that?
Frank. Yeah.
All right. Fingers crossed. Here I go again. Let me know once again.
I hope it's not too laggy.
Oh, Lord.
Are you doing, which one are you doing? Giants in those days? Okay.
Or I'm not doing anything, seeing that they all just disappeared.
They vanished.
Michael? Mike? Help.
It's just the man sticking it to you.
Hold on. Let me try it again. I hope I didn't close it out last time. That'd be a nerd move. All right. Yeah, let me grab my husband real quick.
Sure.
Sorry about this. I'm not very tech savvy. Mike, I've lost the thing. Can you just come here for a second? The camera's off. So anyway, while my husband tries to figure this out, see if I do share screen, it's not showing her other videos now.
Maybe that's a good thing.
No.
Is this one you want to play?
No. That one. Yep.
It is so windy. I cannot believe
windy.
it.
Oh, is that it?
Oh.
All right, I think we got it. All right, excuse me. Make it full screen. Stop. Okay. Can you see my screen here?
Yeah.
You hear it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
That shore is petrified wood. just like coal. Looks just like charcoal. It looks just like petrified wood. And the cool stuff about some of these huge rocks that I found, these are actually, I got these in Vermont. I got a bunch of them. And the reason why I got a bunch of them is because there were huge chunks of pyrite in them. And so we broke them apart. Actually, I had my kids were like breaking them apart and taking out the pieces of pyrite. And here's a really cool piece. Here's a really cool piece of pyrite. Now, if you know anything about, and this is pyrite, this is also some cool pyrite, or fool's gold. Really beautiful. If you know anything about where to find gold, is you usually find gold in veins, along the veins, usually along quartz veins. And in a lot of these rocks that I found, there would be quartz veins. So of course, it's not picking up on the camera, but there's some all over the place here. I was ultimately looking to see if there was real gold, because sometimes it can be found, you can find real gold next to fool's gold. So this all goes back to my theory that, the mountains that people mine and they're just the remnants of giant trees, and through some process, gold was created in the trees. And maybe trees that were submerged in water, maybe the minerals, the way that they're absorbed, turned into gold. Maybe the trees collected the gold.
Now, just for people who are listening to this like a podcast, it says, you saw it here first. This large gold nugget looks like dehydrated fruit. And it's a picture. Okay. It says 2 feet wide, 2 feet high, 103 pounds.
Now, let me talk about that for a minute. So sure, this is supposed to be the biggest gold nugget, supposedly, this 2 foot wide gold nugget. As soon as I saw this thing, I'm like, that is either a fruit or a leaf. You can see where there's a stem. You can see at the top of one of them, there's like a rock or something sticking out. I'm like, is that a seed? And this goes into my theory about that the trees might have been electrical devices. Maybe, there's so much about ancient trees in mythology. And I just wonder were the trees actually gold? Did they have gold running through them? Did they have gold leaves? Did they have golden fruits? Things like this.
Beautiful.
That's all.
I love that. I love that for us people. All right. And then it says, this clearly looks like a stem. The sacred golden apple of Greek myths. Were they real? I thought this looked like a bunch of bananas.
It looks like it's called the wire. If you see that's the name of this thing. And I think that is to throw you off. I think it looks just like a pumpkin stem.
Oh, I see that. Absolutely.
And because again, I don't think they want us to make it. I think people I can't be the first person that's noticed this. But I don't know. Anyway, continue.
Oh, I'm playing it, but it's just
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the great sloth. Okay.
Go ahead.
Behold the giant prehistoric sloth, always shown with a tiny tree.
They say the Grand Canyon, the Native Americans believed that the Grand Canyon was carved out by a giant sloth.
Oh, interesting. But look at the tiny trees in the picture. It's ridiculous. Prehistoric butterflies, almost 40 inches.
Oh, hold on. I went back to the tiny trees. Oh, I see that. Oh, I know where you're going with this because I've watched this. Okay. All right. So pay attention to those teeny tiny trees that the sloth is breaking through. All right, go ahead.
Prehistoric butterflies, 40 inches across. They were found petrified in stone. Interesting.
Beautiful.
Pretty big, right?
Yep, go ahead.
Then Scientific American comes out with butterflies in the time of the dinosaurs, with nary a flower in sight. There were no flowers or trees
Mm-hmm.
back then for the giant sloth or the giant butterfly or the giant insect.
This is, but I mean, how insane is this? This is only 2016 too. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. The first caterpillar.
Scientists claim flowers did not exist, so butterflies must have lived on tree nectar of some kind. Why would they need to tell us that flowers did not exist? Foolishness.
It's yep. Go ahead.
Okay, doesn't it make more sense if we follow the science that giant sloths would live in giant trees, giant butterflies would feed off giant flowers? Why are they trying to make sure we don't follow the obvious?
Mm-hmm. Ugh, this I'm all set with. This gives
Yep.
me chills. It just gave me chills again. Anybody who's ever seen a centipede in their home knows the creeps that these kind of bugs give.
It's a pill bug, or no? Don't they have a cute name?
No, a pill.
Roly
No,
poly. It's just a
a ro-
roly poly.
oh,
A 6-foot roly poly with a million legs.
that's an atrocity. To
And
nature.
where was that supposed to be living? Under giant leaves? Like today they live under giant leaves and in sort of in dirt under, I mean,
Yeah,
but
you find them in like decomposing, organic matter, right? Like
yes, yes.
branches and leaves. Absolutely.
Mm.
It's horrible. Giant rodents, birds, and bugs, but no trees or flowers. It is the obvious, right? Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, and this is just this is about a lot of objects that we are looking at. I think that they're seeds, eggs, or pollen. And I should have explained this better in the video, but I didn't. But
Yeah, go ahead.
oh well, we'll go to the next part.
Slide here. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if what.
Here's here's a bowl of low-key marbles that are used in medium work. People who do spiritualism and use crystals and things might order these. And if you look closely, these ones look like almonds to me. But
Or walnuts.
again, maybe almonds or walnuts. But again, that's just my opinion.
I think they're seeds. Okay,
Yeah.
so these things right here. I guess you find a lot of them in Scotland or that part of the world, and they have all sorts of stories and theories about them. But they're more elaborate. The ones that you would see in the museum have more carving on them. And what I think that they're just trying to distract us that no, these are something. I think these were just like seed pods, or I think that not seed pods, but basic seeds. I think they could maybe
like spores.
Yeah, or insect eggs, or something like that. They all have a specific shape, and then I just kind of. But what they've done is the ones that you see in the museum are not presented like this. They have a lot more carving on them, and they try to say they're talisman and all sorts of things. But I think it's just to throw people off if they find one of these things. That, oh no, this is a man-made thing. Don't ask any questions.
Interesting.
That are in Scotland again, the ones that I showed you before, I think that they were found like this and then somebody did carve them so they look more beautiful or more detailed. But personally, I think these could be, if we're thinking about a giant world with giant trees, I feel like these could possibly be seeds or pollen, or even butterfly eggs, and I'm going to show you reasons why I would think that if everything was much, much bigger.
Do you know the size of those?
About the size of like a plum, probably.
Okay.
Start with butterfly eggs and how complicated they look today. This is just on my Pinterest page, and I'm just going to show you some different unique kinds of butterfly eggs and the varieties they come in. These ones are kind of cool, look like they have an eye on them. Really cool. Look at that, pretty beautiful. Here's some more. Here's some different kinds of coral. Can you imagine if you had some coral that was like this and it was petrified and then rolled around? Any points on it would have been, rubbed off. You come up you end up with a similar sort of design. Here are some sea urchins. So you can see there are a lot in nature. There are so many different natural designs and patterns. These right here, these are poppy seeds. Can you imagine if these were, poppy plants were huge back then? I mean, these are all theories, of course, but I think, we have to ask uncomfortable questions. Then I started looking at pollen under a microscope, and again, I was amazed. So, what are these? I think there are a ton of things in nature that these could be. And I don't think it has to do with ancient technology. I just think that these were something that turned into something else. Something organic that turned into something else, turned to stone. Maybe one of these things. What are these called? Graptolite. I think this is the normal way. I think this is their natural way that they are. Their natural formation. And then I think just to throw us off, so,
Those bastards.
Realize, this was man-made. They don't want us to connect the dots. Okay, so there you go. That's just my opinion, though. We're all entitled. So there's some large mokai or moki stones right here.
All right. I think we're going to stop this one here, right?
Yeah.
All right. Very exciting. I think I pressed stop on that. Very exciting. This is exciting. Okay.
I think it's interesting.
I find it exciting because we're living in a world right now that is so blasé. It's boring. There's a lack of excitement about nature and things like that. And we love going to like the occult and being like, this is occultic, this is, satanic and all this kind of stuff, all these shapes. Because also while you're showing this, I'm seeing the repetition of patterns that are very prevalent throughout nature, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And you were telling me earlier about that scientist. Do you want to talk about him real quick? I had his name.
Let's see. Yes.
Let's see. His name
Masaru.
is
Masaru Emoto.
Yes, you got it. You got it, girl. Go ahead.
And hold on. Sorry.
Take your time.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about him. Okay, so anybody that's not familiar with
hold on,
him.
Cave Girl, I'm sorry. In the corner, your tape is coming off your camera a little bit. You might
There we go, because I need to remain anonymous.
You sure do. All right. Go ahead.
Doesn't the tape formation, though, doesn't it look like some sort of a heavenly choir with an angel?
It does. It looks like the sky and maybe the moon and some beautiful. Oh, you're moving it a lot now. So.
There. Now it's not. Well, whatever.
All right, go ahead.
We're good enough. People can see a little bit if they want. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, so anyway, Asian scientist, I think he was Japanese, and he studied the effects of sound and vibration on water. And what he discovered was if you took a glass of water and you said something nice to it, like, you know, have a nice
Thank
day.
you. Thank you, he says.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Then he would take the drop of water on a slide and freeze it, and it would turn to a beautiful snowflake. But then he did the same experiment, and he played like heavy metal music, which I love, and said nasty things to the water, and it showed a disruption in the water as it froze. It just looked like zigzags. There was no there were no patterns in continuity. There was no symmetry.
Mhm.
He did the same thing with rice. He took rice and submerged it in water and said thank you. And to another glass of rice, he said, you know, I hate you. And to another glass of rice, he ignored it.
He said you're an idiot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can
You're
we
an
see?
idiot. That's so insulting. So yes, so he insulted the heck out of that rice, and he did pour water on top. Did you say that?
Yes, yeah, it was
Okay.
submerged rice, you know,
Yes.
and so the one that he thanked kept it was white and fluffy, and it remained white and fluffy and healthy. And the one that he called an idiot became moldy and black. And then the one that he ignored just kind of stagnated as well, became cloudy and moldy as well. And what he talks about is the importance of the vibrations you give off, what you're saying to people, especially to children. And,
Mhm.
you know, people are sensitive, and you really have to watch your words because they might affect them in a totally organic way. Like they might
Mhm.
affect them in a physical way. And you think about people that have physical problems, physical ailments. Is it because they're around a lot of negativity? Then you think about plants and you play classical music for plants, or if you talk to your plants will thrive. And so I think this is another mystery in the world that we're just kind of um, figuring out now.
Yeah,
That
well, you had a beautiful thing to say about that also, about the significance of the word, and you were
yes,
using it as scriptural.
yes, yes. I can't recall the video, but there is a video, another scientist who's showing that being able to words can create forms. And I think they use powder or something. Now we know the vibration. If we use they can make seismatic design, I guess. If you put like salt on one of those pans, vibrating pans, and you change the frequency or hertz or whatever, it will
Mhm.
create different patterns. And these are the patterns that you can see. You can see in, you know, the old churches, in the stained glass, the rose windows, all these patterns. Um, those patterns, once you start to understand that those aren't just pretty stained glass windows, those are musical notes, those are frequencies, those are patterns. We're seeing it with our eyes, but there's a lot more going on. And we think about, you know, in the Bible, it says that, you know, the word, no, God said, let there be light.
Mhm.
And God, you know, he sort of spoke everything to be. Well, that scientist that was using the powder there and changing the height of the powder, it moved and turned into, you know, little hills and things. You think about the fact that it shows that there is a possibility that even with the word or the sound, things can come into being. And I just think it's really cool now that finally we have science that is able to start backing up what has always been there, but we didn't have the understanding
Mhm.
um, about these concepts.
Sure.
So,
I will say there is a lot of controversy about the rose window. You know, people
yeah,
say, you know, different things, that it's the Rosicrucians, and but you know, in these great cathedrals, I'm going to play your video after this, but these great cathedrals and the stained glass, and the how the stained glass, the colors have different healing properties. You're the one who told me that. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure. A few years ago, I don't even remember which show it was on. A show that it might have been like America's, most talented. I don't even know. One of those talent show things where totally fake talent shows. But anyway, Heidi Klum was on there, and she was speaking about her solar water and drinking her solar water. And what it was is, so I looked into solar water, and it was basically water that was left in the sun in blue glass and energized. And so I started, I was very interested because I remembered that I collect some antique bottles, and I remembered that we have a lot of blue glass bottles, and for different sorts of medicine, they would put it in blue glass, like Vicks Vapor Rub. I don't know that it has to be in blue glass for a reason, but I'm assuming that the color of the glass might be important, because I think even till this day, it's still in a blue glass jar.
Mm-hmm.
There's also in folk art, people used to have bottle trees in their garden, and what they would do, they would put these trees in their garden. They get sticks, and they'd put these blue bottles and hang them on the sticks. And from what I've read, it's just folk art. But I don't think it was folk art. I think people a long time ago knew that if you put these glass bottles in your garden, you're going to have better growth. So anyway, so color has it has importance. And then we look at like red light, how important everybody's using red light now to like grow new hair on their head.
Oh, yeah. That's good for your. I did see there's a new mask that they've come out with. It's a red light mask, and guys, my wrinkles, they're gonna fade away. You're never gonna know they were even there. But yes, you're absolutely right. They're really promoting this now.
Yeah, so I think that there's going to be a lot more of this. Just an understanding about, again, and it's all connected. The light, the sound, vibration, all these things, they're all connected, and it's not magic. The science has always been there. We just didn't understand it.
Right. We started just thinking that it was a lot of superstition, but now what we're starting to see actual like studies that are being done on these things,
Right.
So
right.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share this last video of yours. If I can, let's see. I hope this is it. I'm on my husband's computer, so I get so nervous that I'm going to share.
Yeah, I'm wondering which one is it? Do you know? Do you know which
Good
one?
Vibrations.
Oh, okay.
All right. And I'm going to play this for 6 minutes. So
okay.
Let me know if you can see it and hear it, okay?
Okay.
Music, light, and color, the 17th century science and science study.
Okay?
Yeah.
You can hear it good?
I turned up a little bit.
I can't turn it up anymore.
Okay, that's fine.
Hold on. Let me see if over here on YouTube. Yeah, guys, I'm sorry. No, this is what we're dealing with.
I can just turn up my own computer. Why do I want to hear myself anyway?
Anyway, all right, here we go. Music, light, and color.
This is very interesting. Music, light, and color. The 17th century scientists studied how light splits through prism into 7 colors. He linked each one to a musical note. So when you look at the stained glass in a beautiful rose window at a beautiful church, you know that you're not just looking at art, you're looking at music represented through the beautiful stained glass and the shapes, the geometrical shapes, the colors. Churches are devices. They're devices for our health.
Okay, these are those windows, the rose window. So these are a bunch of examples. I believe that the second one is very close, but I think they're all rose windows, correct?
Yes. What I'm so these are all patterns in nature.
Mm-hmm.
These are all, for example, so this kind of goes back to like the snowflake forming from the beautiful words, right? The scientist says, you know, thank you to the drop of water. It turns into a beautiful snowflake, you know, and all of these designs come from designs in nature, and they're supposed to, you know, represent, you know, positive vibrations.
Okay.
And yeah.
Very
So
cool.
anyway, I'm a true believer that some people might call it like these older churches. People think they're, you know, some say they're Tartarian buildings, and they were turned into churches. I believe they were always churches. I believe that they were always places for healing. I believe that they were created definitely by hidden orders that understood this stuff and still understand this stuff. And I don't think there was anything wrong with what was going in the churches, as far as I think there was a lot to going there and becoming renewed and becoming healthy, and in the ancient buildings, like, and I'm going to show some of that.
Sure. We'll carry on.
That's it.
I'm not a big fan of this one on the bottom. That's not giving me a healing property like that one that's very neon. That's giving me a hyper. That one's very hyper, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Was that Walt Disney?
That was Walt Disney. And if you go back, this is, again, like, we all know Walt Disney was like a high-ranking whatever.
Epcot.
That's the Epcot Center. And you'll notice that picture. Okay? That is extremely, I didn't go into it, but there's a lot going on in that picture.
Wow,
okay,
that is so amazing. So that's basically the map of how he wanted Epcot set up, because this would be like the world's up here, the World's Fair, right? And this is the water in the middle. The big there's a big pond there where they have fireworks. Am I right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But the point is, this is something that looks like a manifested sound that they went with. Like, this is not something like, I mean, that does not look like somebody sat down with a pen and paper. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
It just looks like, really, you know what it almost reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me, if you look at the Shroud of Turin, and the Shroud of Turin, and you look how it came, you know, when they unfolded it and everything, and it has all these marks all over it. And they say, like, the Shroud of Turin, they don't know how, whether you believe it was the Shroud of Christ or not, they don't know how the image appeared on the cloth. But they believe it was almost superimposed by some sort of a blast of light or electricity. And you could imagine if, you know, maybe that was the flash of light when, you know, Jesus rose again from the dead or something. But this picture here kind of gives me the same vibes. That's all.
Right. It's like an energy.
Yes.
Like each of these little sections individually are so interesting. This isn't something, you're absolutely right. This isn't something that an architect sat down and designed.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Very cool. That's very interesting. All right. All right, and that's the study you were talking about with the hertz, the sound plates. Yeah.
These are just all the different patterns with the different octaves.
So beautiful. Unbelievable. Actually, looking at these, I do want to interject.
Sure.
I'm seeing a lot of beautiful colors, and we were just talking about colors. Like, you're seeing a lot of cobalt in this, the purples, the whites. And I was telling you earlier of a studies that were done on people's tears. And what the people would do is, I mean, besides the healing properties, obviously, of color, I'm taking it kind of in another direction real quick. That's right. People's tears. So when we cry, our tears, if you take your tears and let's say that you're laughing so hard that you're crying, right? And you take your face and you put it against like photo paper and then you develop it, those tears are always like the greens and yellows, the happy tears. And then if you're crying because you're sad, it's always very red. Red's a tough one. I'm not seeing too much red so far in this, right?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So that just brought that to mind. Gonna press play.
So I'm just going to try to explain things simply for you, just so you get an idea about some of the knowledge that most people aren't aware of. So this item right here, some sort of an amulet, and something interesting about it is it is called a wedget. Wedget means sound or healthy. It's all about sound and vibration. People wore these because these scarab stones, it's either the shape or the material it's made in, gave off some sort of a vibration for health.
All right. Steeples are resonating devices. All right. What are these balls doing here and what are they called? It's a good question. So there's just pictures of steeples right now.
Okay, now I want to show you something cool though. So if you look in the center there, we see the cross section of the steeple, and you see again, we see the pattern. We see do you see like those flower patterns?
Oh, I see in the center here with the black and white pictures.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So that is the cross section going up, 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 up to the very top. And then at the very, so what I think we have sound.
Yeah.
We have the sound, which you know, either the prayers of the people or the music or atmospherics. I don't even know what we have. We have sound and vibration going up through the steeple or coming down from the steeple and going down, either down into the church or going up and out of the churches.
Oh, wow.
But I just think it's amazing. Like, who came up with this knowledge that they could figure out that we have to have this level? We're gonna have. I mean, it really is. It's definitely.
So yeah, what you're saying is the first bottom level on the right-hand side in the black and white image here, that looks like the vibrations of the vibration panel with the frequency. But once you get up to the top, the uppermost part of the steeple before the actual antenna portion, it looks more like a snowflake.
Exactly.
Amazing. All right. Okay,
these also, so for people that might recognize this design to be the design of a crown, a lot of Indian art or ancient Indian art, you'll have the deities and they're holding these devices. I think they're called dorjes. And they look like they have a crown on the top or a crown on the bottom. And we don't know what they do. But obviously, because there are so many ancient bells that have these crown patterns on the top, they obviously resonate sound in some manner. And so I'm just showing some different, sometimes we have that pattern on top of a church. Sometimes we have it on top of a bell. And then also, where do we have it? We have that pattern on top of a king's crown or a queen's crown.
Wow.
And, that's where I don't know, they're getting some magic vibrations from it.
Well, don't say magic. That's
I don't
right.
know what they're getting from it. I don't know, but all I know is they're either giving off vibrations or they're receiving it. I don't know.
Yes, it does. It seems like a receiver, but let's
Yeah.
see.
So I guess my thing is my thought process is always about be aware of shapes, be aware of you'll start to realize that you see a lot of the same shapes and there has to be a reason for it. There has to be a technological reason for it.
My town hall looks like that second picture
Yes.
from the left.
Yes. And your town hall still plays bells.
Yes. Very cool.
We have another device here. We see the geometric designs. We see the little pinnacles on the top. This is another sound device. This would be similar to this is probably made out of bronze, I'm not sure. We see, if you look closely, there's 3 loops, all with a cross on it. And this would be a lot like Dreamcatcher. It's again hidden knowledge, old wisdom that we're not familiar with.
Okay, so it says dream catchers, do they reformat energy? Then we have devices, forehead, antennas, protectors.
Yes, go back to the dream catchers thing.
Sure.
So dream catchers, I'm looking at one in my room right now. Now dream catchers, what I've always heard is the Spider Queen or somebody put a net of webbing over the world to keep out the bad energy. And so these dream catchers are like the webs that will keep bad dreams out. And people are encouraged to put them over their children's cradles and things like that, and they'll bring good energy. I personally feel like they reformat energy waves. I feel like that, and they're always the same sort of patterns that you would find in a rose window, or these beautiful symmetrical patterns. And so I think that these beautiful shapes, I think that they just make beautiful energy waves come through, and that's why they would want it to put them above their beds and things, so that they would have nice dreams and not negative, hostile dreams. Anyway, and also we have hanging on them often, there's little pieces of metal, there are feathers. I'm not even going to get into the whole feathers thing. Feathers, angels, electricity, that's a story for another day, but it's all very connected. Okay.
All right. I do have to chuckle at the tinfoil hat in the mix here, but okay. Fair enough.
There's a couple of tinfoil hats there.
One's pretty fancy.
Yeah, the twist.
This is also a chart, the relationship between the notes, and what I see is this representation is a lot like the Tatarian buildings. Just thought I'd show you that. They use a lot of this architecture style in old Tatarian type buildings.
I just want to pause for a second. There's a little tiny picture there of all the steeples. And you have like the dome structure. You got a couple dome structures, and then you have the antenna structure.
So I want to show you, so this pattern right here, again, we have this pattern here. We see all throughout nature. Mosaic used to be accepted that the hexagonal eye facets of an insect must produce an image made in a series of spots, but now we know this is how they see. They see this image here. Pretty amazing.
Sorry to interrupt again. And also, isn't mosaic made up of a bunch of different color stones with different properties?
That's interesting. Yeah. Yes.
Obviously, we're all familiar with the shapes of honeycomb. Honeys and honeybees and vibration, they create magic there with their honey. And so honey is one of the most healthy things, as well as a pollen to eat for nutrition. Nature works. Look at this. We have the urn shape. I'll turn this upside down. We have the urn shape that is all over the place. In antiquity.
Yeah, if you look at the corners of a lot of the steeples, a lot of the classical New England churches, up on the steeple, you'll see 4 urns, one on each corner. And again, you know, these are bell towers, and I believe these are resonators. But anyway.
Very cool. So what's a resonator versus an antenna?
I feel like an antenna captures or gives off some sort of a vibration, but a resonator just like I don't know, kind of holds the sound or captures the sound. It, like, you know, like resonates, buzzes. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a picture of a beehive, and you can see the wax did not go over the icon, and this is not the first example of this. I've seen this before. Pretty cool.
Okay. So Eiffel Tower, Our Lady's Tower, and a radio tower.
Yeah, all the same. Here we go.
There's me with my. I'm going to read your mind, like Dr. This is interesting. The whole idea of the habit. Look how ridiculous these women look. No, I mean, no offense. God bless.
Yeah.
God love them. But I love that it's like the nun's habit, design or device, fabric folds for energy capture and transmission.
I think so, but maybe that's just me.
Oh, the bones.
This is just a lot of information that I stuffed into one video because I was too lazy to make
so much information. I did think this part was cool, and then I'm going to shut it down.
Okay.
Yeah,
so piezoelectricity is electricity from bone. It's it's the concept that bones can give off electricity, which of course we know we're electrical devices. We know that we can be brought back with an electrical shock if our heart stops. Many times in traditional Catholic belief systems, they have what are called relics, and what they are, they're bones of the saints or holy people. And you know, people believe that they should be in the church. They should have one in the church at the altar. They should always have a relic on the altar or in the altar. And personally, I think that the science behind that is that because they give off some sort of a vibration that they're looking for. And yeah, maybe also to give homage to that saint or whatever, but I think there's something more going on there.
And don't monks always keep the skull on a? I don't know.
Yes. Morto. Where was it? Morty. I forget what they call it. Memento
Remember
Mori.
death.
Yeah, Memento Mori. Yeah, remember death. Yeah.
And also it reminds me of also in scripture where they're fighting over the body of Moses. And yeah. Okay.
Piezoelectricity. We got the bones. We have the pyramidal form almost, and that, my friends, is an antenna.
There you go. That's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a lot. That was a lot, boy.
You're exhausting.
I'm so bored now.
Oh no. These are your brain babies. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's very interesting. I think that you're absolutely right. We're surrounded by beauty, and also it is to be considered that maybe a lot of these things that we've just like given over and been like, oh, that's satanic and all this kind of stuff. They're doing this stuff because of ancient knowledge that we've kind of thrown out as we develop. I mean, do they even build churches with steeples anymore? Or do they just build like upside down diapers and call it a church? Am I right? Like architecture, everything has become so functional, and
Yes. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
seems like we are losing. I mean, we shouldn't go back to like, what is it, the tuberculosis houses with, giving yourself an air bath is going to cure you of TB. But at the same time, we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater with a lot of
Yes.
this,
Yeah.
information.
I agree. Well, also, it's funny, just even talking about like beauty and design and architecture, and you think about, it just blows my mind the way buildings used to. Hey, Faye.
Hey, Faye. Oh, we'll see Faye next week for our New Year's celebration. But sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's just amazing that you look at these old buildings and then you look over in like, you look in Russia, like during the communist period of Russia, and you look how everything is just drab, square. There's no beauty, and it's almost like they deliberately surrounded the people with such a dire, like, did they throw those buildings up like that to really depress people? Because they did a good job if that was the case.
Yeah, it's very stark. It's minimalist. Like excuse me, right now, we have a hospital down the street from me that is getting rebuilt, and they tore down the old hospital, which was, I would say, almost what is it? Federal colonialism. That was the original building. It had like the Federalist columns, and anyways, it was a brick building. It was pretty ornate for what it was, and they're tearing it down and they're putting up it, like, seriously, it looks like a plexiglass structure, a box, very functional. There is no beauty, and it's like we're talking about a healing center where you go for medicine and things like that,
Wow.
and it's so incredibly functional. It looks just like the hospital they threw up a couple towns over. And the ones just, even the doctor's offices. So, I mean, I feel like with especially like medicine, it's become so like cold, and it reminds me of on the outside of the building, there's no warmth, there's no beauty, there's no it doesn't bring your mind.
Institutionalized, very institutionalized.
And we see that also with the practitioners of said art, is they don't you're in an assembly line. You've lost all your personhood and your personality and the things that make you special. And I feel like there is some sort of a weird connection there. But yeah, there's that.
Yeah, that's good. I like it. I get it.
You can dig it.
Definitely. I'm totally digging it.
Anyway, so yeah, you want to wrap it up there? Any final thoughts?
There's no final thoughts.
I know, right? I know.
My final thoughts, my final thought is, it's a beautiful season. Like, for example, let's just see that nice Christmas tree in the background there. I don't care who you are, what faith you believe or anything. It just is pretty. It's a pretty sparkly thing. And I think we need to look at pretty sparkly things and say, wow, that's really, really nice. I don't care. Like, I don't know. I just think we need to look around more and just observe the beauty in our own world. Go outside and look at the trees, look at the clouds, and look at the rocks. And
yeah, take your time. Look at the beautiful, oh my goodness, the beautiful flowers, even flowers coming from the same, let's just say a rose bush. They're also unique and individual, and it's just so awesome. But I will say one quick story about the tree. So I have 2 artificial trees. I have a fake pine one that's covered in like kind of rustic like it's very New Hampshire, like wood
Nice.
ornaments and stuff.
Cabin, log cabin.
Yeah, with checkered print bows and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Then I have a white Christmas tree that's also artificial. It's also stuck on demo mode like a loser. I
What
can't
does that
fix it.
mean? What does
It
that
means
mean?
it's always changing color.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's obnoxious. It looks like Vegas in my dining room because I lost the remote control to it. but,
Oh,
but it's artificial, it's white, and it's covered in like things like donuts and cookies and not real life donuts, but you know what I mean, ornaments and
I love it.
milkshakes and lollipops. So it's kind of like very like pastel-y and pretty. All right. So I had those things up for about 2 weeks before my husband and children went out and they got this tree. Now this is a real tree. And as soon as this tree came into the house, everybody wanted to hang out with this tree even before it was decorated because when you get it you have to let it fall. And I was like, this is weird that we've had 2 other Christmas trees, artificial Christmas trees in our home for about 2 weeks up and decorated, and the kids don't even care about it. But as soon as we brought this piece of nature into the home, everybody like gravitated towards it. And I don't know what's the energy of pine.
It smells so good. The pine trees smell so good after, you take those pine needles and put them in little bags and you can smell it all year long. It'll put a smile on your face.
I don't know if I'll be doing that, but good advice. Good advice. Maybe. Anyway. Well, that's all for tonight. That was great. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, do you want to share your channel or do you prefer to take it all down again, as you said at the beginning that you put them up for a second?
It's just a little much.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I might leave one up. Yeah, Cave Girl Conversations. And
Okay.
yeah, I might leave one of them up. I have others that I might put up that would be a little bit more easygoing and not
Yeah.
not 1,000 images shoved into tiny images shoved into one video.
I think they're excellent.
Oh,
I've
thank
told you
you.
that before, but you're always like, forget it. I'm taking them down.
Anyway, thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us and have a Merry Christmas.
Yes, and will you be having you and Faye will be back on?
We'll be back next Friday for our New Year's stunt spectacular. No, I don't know. Our New Year's live.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. I'll talk to you later.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, that was a lot of information. I hope you all get something from it. And thank you very much, Cave Girl, for joining me tonight. And I didn't have to go solo without Faye. But anyway, Faye will be back next week. And until then, have a Merry Christmas. And we will see you next Friday. All right. God bless. Bye.